President Trump has decided to pull troops from both Syria and Afghanistan. Now, while there is a lot of debate around what he's doing in Syria and whether or not it's a good idea to pull all troops out of there because of the U.S. allies there, the Kurds, and what Turkey might do with that situation with the U.S. out of it, there is less of a debate, I think, around Afghanistan because the U.S. has been there for 17 years and there doesn't appear to be any end in sight. So to pull some troops out of Afghanistan, I think, is a good move. But even among what is supposed to be the anti-war side of the debate, the left, there is a debate around whether or not this was a good move. So let me show you this Twitter spat between Representative Khanna and former Governor Howard Dean. So this is interesting. And we're also going to dive a little bit into Howard Dean's history on this issue. So first, let me show you this fairly, I think, great, but also innocuous tweet from Ro Khanna. The withdrawal of troops from Syria is a good first step towards ending our foreign policy of interventionism, but we also need to end U.S. support for Saudi Arabia and Yemen, withdraw our troops from Afghanistan, and repeal the 2001 authorization for use of military force. So all of that makes sense. These are fairly standard left-wing positions on issues of foreign policy, of war. But look at how former Governor Howard Dean replied to this. By withdrawing our troops from Afghanistan, you are condemning millions of women to the Stone Age. No education, no choice about who they marry. They'll become property when the Taliban takes over. Is that what you really want, Ro? So this is weird. It's weird for several reasons. So, I mean, there's this debate around should America be the world's police force? And I think that would be an okay debate to have if there was proof that what the U.S. has done has been positive. But we've seen with Iraq, Vietnam, Libya, Afghanistan, getting the U.S. involvement around the world in these wars and in civil wars isn't necessarily a good thing. It doesn't actually benefit anybody. And when the U.S. goes to these countries, like in Afghanistan, they don't leave. So what is the actual end goal here? Because there doesn't appear to be one. But Howard Dean, regardless of all the facts, continues pushing war. So this is even more funny when you look at Howard Dean's history. So in 2011, this is what Howard Dean said. Howard Dean to President Obama, get our troops out of Afghanistan. So in 2011, he's trying to push Obama to be anti-war, to get out of Afghanistan. But now that Trump is doing just that, he's against it. It's odd. Now, I'm going to show you some reporting here from The Intercept in 2016 that may be the reason for this, but I don't. Let me just show you the reporting, and then I'll talk through it. Since joining the lobbying industry, Dean has oddly argued on multiple occasions that he does not lobby, but he engages in virtually every lobbying activity imaginable, helping corporate interests reach out to lawmakers on legislation, advising them on political strategy, and using his credibility as a former liberal lion to build public support on behalf of his lobby firm clients. In his new career, he has helped drug companies maintain monopoly power, reversed his old positions on Medicare prices, and worked to undermine a critical component of the Affordable Care Act. Though known for his anti-war rhetoric in 2004, Dean has accepted money from Mujahideen Halq, an extremist group seeking regime change in Iran, and has criticized President Obama's negotiations with Iran. So, Howard Dean is a big pharma lobbyist. That's what he's now known for. A guy who used to be progressive, ran in 2004 as a progressive, but is now a lobbyist for big pharma. So it's not exactly clear just what the hell Howard Dean is thinking here. So he may have simply just changed his mind because of the company he now keeps in this new industry of lobbying and being a Washington insider, or he may be being paid because he's also apparently involved in lobbying in foreign policy issues. He may also be getting paid to take this position. It's not clear, but it is kind of weird. So Ro Khanna did respond to Dean's tweet saying this. What happened to the Governor Dean who opposed Iraq? We have been in Afghanistan for 17 years. After the surge, the Taliban controls 70% instead of 40%. We need a foreign policy of restraint. We could spend the trillions saved on jobs and education at home. So that's exactly right. And just more proof that getting the U.S. involved in these wars in these countries all over the world has not benefited anybody. It has not benefited the situation. It hasn't benefited the U.S. because of their instead of putting money into actual programs and helping people in the country, they're putting money into military spending and creating all these issues, all these foreign policy issues all across the world. So I think it's clear that pulling out of Afghanistan is a good idea. Now, again, Trump isn't pulling all troops out of Afghanistan. It's only, I think, 7,000 troops, but it's a move in the right direction. But there should be no discussion or no debate around this at all on the left. The left should be in support of this. Now, I understand at least some debate around Syria because of the impact on the Kurds. But again, that's going to happen in any situation. Of course, there's going to be some potential downsides in pulling out of any of these wars. But the U.S. staying there, unless you have a case to make for how it's going to get better, or you have some sort of end game, some sort of strategy to get out, it doesn't make sense to just continue to remain in all of these countries. So Howard Dean, I don't necessarily know what's going on in his mind, but he's not the guy that he was 10 plus years ago.